computer, 'cause I don't have my glasses.
Right,
I'm just
Madam Chair?
gonna leave that up there
Yes, are
for
you
right now.
ready?
You
until-
have it.
until you get
Okay,
to
I
my
just wanna
part.
make sure before everybody's like ready to go here.
Wait, Public Works, yep, I'm good.
Okay, all right, so we'll call the meeting to order. So did everybody get a chance to look at, February 25th and the March 11th minutes?
Yep.
Any corrections, additions? All right, everybody in favor of approving?
I move to approve the minutes of February 25th and March 11th.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, all those opposed? It passes. Okay, Public Works update. You're ready over there.
I'm ready enough.
Okay.
I'll just kind of run through what, I didn't do a typed up one for this one. I'll just run through everything. Stormwater, we're still working with DOT. Wastewater, we're still waiting to hear what the legislature's gonna do with their grant. We're working through a hiccup with the water project, but,
That's the 16-inch bypass.
yeah.
I can just give everybody an update on that. So historically, there is a road and several utilities that run across the corner of somebody's property.
Oh,
Normally, it would just not really be a problem, except for when you have to write a letter that says, yes, we have an easement or have acquired all land. So the attorney met with them this morning. The short answer is, we are happy to pay them whatever the property is worth. We cannot pay them more than that. And so, yeah, there it is. And that may be
Oh.
from 3 to 10 feet off.
This black line is the pipe we wanna, that's the 16-inch line going in. So you can see it crosses
See
private
that yellow line
property.
that goes clear out onto the road and everything?
mm,
But the other thing is that, I mean,
So we have presented her.
it's clearly in the,
yeah,
Yeah.
wow. Whoopsie daisy.
So it's one of those things that's just been there for years and years. It's a problem this time because you may recall we are financing this project. Part of that is so we can get 50% off or 50% load forgiveness. But they said, hey, you have to show us, you have to write a letter stating that you're not going across anybody's private property that you don't have easements or access to. So we're fixing that problem.
Where is that?
That's the 23rd.
How it went
The county
today?
shop.
Yeah, she took the paperwork home, it's not signed,
Okay, so
but
that's a mountain
she wanted to
home.
take it home and
Right.
review it over the weekend, which I'm fine with.
That's right, the apartment building's right there.
Okay, so the mountain
So,
home goes
so
over here.
for audit purposes, we have to do an audit and an appraisal
Okay,
anyway,
I got
so
you.
we're doing both of
It's that
those, and
funky-
then
it's
the
that
offer
funky
will come
house.
out based on that.
There's a
Based
house
on the
that looks
appraisal
like
that was
nuts.
done on that property last year, it'll be about $6 and
Okay.
change per square foot that we are taking over. The alternative is if she says no, then we go to court and the judge tells us it's ours and we don't have to pay for it. The downside is that takes us a year, and it will be more expensive if we wait and do this for free next year than if we pay her and do it this year.
If we wait, we're gonna pay, what was it, $75,000
Yeah.
probably in inflation, and we could possibly lose our 50% forgiveness for the loan,
So,
which would be
Yeah, it's being.
$1 million.
But the auditors say, we have to do an audit and we are not allowed to pay more than what it is. No, what we are doing is we're doing all of the associated costs and fees with it.
Okay.
So I think it's gonna go well. She just wanted some time to think about it after the attorney got her the paperwork this morning.
So that's what's going on with the water project. I'm gonna skip to the stream bank project. We just had the pre-bid meeting for that, and the stream bank project is right here. The computer catches up. It is, I'll turn it off for a second and see where we're at. Takes a while for the internet to catch up. This is where the house
Oh, that they
went
were,
away,
yeah.
down at Ninth and Cooper. Boy, it's really a big leg there. It's basically gonna address the stream bank from Big Leg,
Mm-hmm.
from right here, going all the way down to there. This back on. Had a lot of people show up at the meeting, that was good.
Oh,
So I'm just curious, because I thought that part of it had been done, because we had to give them that land,
Mhm.
because they said that they did all the work on it and paid for it all.
Well, they did this piece right here, and
It's not remember how it also wore out last year?
Mhm.
so it
So,
was, most of the
No, I haven't heard
erosion
that.
was up in here. There's a pretty good chance, based on what I heard today, that the area that they did rip wrap in here will be able to stay, because it'll meet spec. We still probably will put some more on there and put some, I wouldn't call it topsoil, but pines over top of it there. Fish and Wildlife Parks has stepped into this and introduced a lot of, things that they wanna see in the project. Even though they say they don't engineer these, they are.
Mhm.
we're not gonna engineer it, but could you please put 15 or 20
Well,
trees in with the
we're-
root balls out facing the river and bury them in and cover it with rocks?
We're not gonna
Make it
engineer
look
it, but if you don't do it our way,
We're
you're
not.
not gonna get a permit. Is basically how it works, and so
It was a doable thing we could do.
we're putting 8,000 little plantings in here, and literally
8,000?
8,000.
Little plants?
What's that, little willows?
I just put
Will they
planting.
grow?
Well,
Go
there's
look at the-
8,000.
Go
We'll
look
find
at the
out.
other bank where they planted them and see how many are left.
So that was at Fish, Wildlife, and Parks request?
Yeah.
And
Introduce
then we have to
more.
bury,
We're using the term
Trees
request
in there.
lightly.
so. And
Request.
that project will be, the bids are due on April 3rd. Ideally, in a perfect world, because we are running a little bit, in a perfect world, we would have been at this point in January, so that it could all happen during low water. We're trying to get the worst part done before high water. So we're hoping that we'll have everything in place where we can have a notice to proceed 10 days after, so around the 12th. I think that's very optimistic, but it's our goal.
But our Mother Nature deadline's probably the 1st of June, because it's generally that second week of June that's high water.
So, and, yeah, so that's where that one's at.
But the good news is, just to throw it, they had come back and told us there was no way it was happening this year, we could do it this fall or next spring.
Oh, so.
And we made a couple of phone calls and said that's not an option, so it may still be a maybe, but it's a lot higher maybe than it was.
They put a lot of restraints on us. We can't work in the stream, so all the work theoretically has to be done from these people's yards. That's gonna be a problem. But there is some wiggle room in there.
Literally.
We can, I think they call it, what do they call it, means and methods? If we can't do it from here, then they'll let us in the stream, and I got a feeling
You have
that's
to
what.
exhaust the other possibilities first.
Yeah, we have to try. So that's that one. The main reason I brought my computer is I wanted to talk about the EDA project. So it's hard to watch that screen. I better watch the screen. So I met with the engineers, last week. We're going over the EDA street project. So I'm gonna give you a little background. So I was a little confused during the stormwater project with some of the placement of the storm drain inlets. And we actually moved a few of them. In the process, the way this all worked was way back eons ago, like when HKM was still, or whichever it was still the engineers. They drew up a new street section for Red Lodge, and street section is just basically,
Across.
is it working? Oh, I gotta do something different here. How's that work?
Well, you might have just shared a window as opposed to your screen, so you
Oh.
do a stop share and reshare.
Yeah, it's not that important. It's just how wide the road is, how wide the boulevard is, how wide, now I gotta get.
Out of it.
It's a cross section of the street, basically.
I moved
And it's on his
black.
machine if you wanna come around and look at it there.
I can't, how do I get that black thing out so I can click on my other tab?
Just click, can you click down below? Click on the tab.
I want,
Click OK.
I think you're on.
oh, no, I still wanna get
Oh,
behind that.
well, you can drag that tab to a side or to the bottom.
Oh, look at that.
There you go.
If you drag it to a side, it should stick to a side if you go off the edge, but maybe not, maybe it's just in the middle.
Anyway, where's my, oh, here,
What I would do is do a stop share.
here, I wanna go back to this anyway.
Okay, well, we're back to
I'll
it.
get
Yep.
this, put it up there. And so, basically, when they laid out storm phase 1 and phase 2 and 3, they used that street section, and evidently, like 10 or 15 years ago, the city council approved this new street section. And when I saw it, I asked the engineers if they would draw us up some alternatives. So, let me see here. If you look, let me turn off, that. So the yellow is where the curve is at now on, say, Platt. See the yellow lines?
Mm-hmm.
The red is where the new curve would be with the new street section. And it really narrows up Platt a lot, like I just drew some lines and I'll turn off.
Are those orange things the drains?
No, that orange, that sidewalk, excuse me, that's, that sidewalk that would be constructed, maybe, that's, we'll get the sidewalk second. And turn this off, but you can see, so this, those red lines are the new curb lines, if we follow that street section. And the sidewalks stay in the same place, the boulevard strips just get wider. That didn't make sense to me.
Would that, like,
I mean, just
increase the
'cause we-
parking
No.
No.
at
we
all?
get-
No, because it would
we
make
get
it
less-
smaller.
We
Yeah,
get
you
less
have the parking.
parking,
Right.
They
The
would
curb.
expect you to plant trees there in the boulevard or something.
Okay.
so I asked them to, and then to go out wider is a problem, because we've already got the inlets where the
Mhm.
inlets are, so they came up with, with this, where the yellow is the old curb, and we keep the old curb, and we don't go out there, and basically what it would amount to is, let me see here, I gotta turn these.
The streets are a little wider than the diagram.
So we'd end up with these little bump outs on the corners, which I know we just had this conversation at another meeting.
But I don't
Well,
I think these bump outs are manageable for us plowing, because we would put little reflector posts along here, probably a no parking here, the corner sign right there, and the plows could just sweep out and come around them. It would be great for pedestrians, because you'd have a little bump out, and we'd still be able to retain our parking, and we still have a place to put our snow in the boulevard strip like we do right now. I wanted to explore the option, because I think going along these orange lines, when you look, I turn this off,
What happens if you just take this?
Mhm.
and I can show, so there's the curb line.
Mhm.
So all these cars are gonna move towards the center.
Bad idea.
I don't like that.
No, that narrows it down
So,
tremendously.
And then we gotta plow.
It makes it like, you know,
Do
Adams.
you have to do the bump outs, or can you do the round corners without the bump outs? If you
In
go
order
back to your other
to
picture.
utilize the storm drains in the position they are,
So
we need,
we have to do those because of where the storm drains went in.
yep. But, I don't know, I think this, at first when we started going over this, I was just getting more and more depressed the more and more I learned about it and understood it. Looking at this, I'm not turning, but I can't turn off those red, the proposed curb line.
We can pretend they're not there when we
But
look at it.
the yellow, I think, would work good, and it would probably, when we get a lot of snow, we could put snow on those bump outs, because we essentially lose the sidewalks on those intersections anyway.
You can't do it 8 feet tall like is over by the Boys and Girls Club right now.
No, I don't think we do that, somebody else.
Are we sure? Because it's right in the main street, so it's gonna follow it.
I can tell you who does that.
Is that you?
No,
Oh.
I avoid that. It's, they plow all the snow in front of the daycare over to there, so that they have drop off at the daycare. So all the snow along the park
Is it ProCat?
in the daycare, actually, the hospital moves their own snow.
Oh,
That makes me feel better that it's not us.
my guys
Turning to
understand they
hospital.
don't pile snow, so.
The hospital owns the daycare.
Yeah, so that's why I was like, oh, that.
So, I mean, that's kinda, and in order to do that, because the cost estimates were based on the red line.
Okay.
So we move out the yellow line, we have more pavement, to do that, and I had them do it, not everywhere, but kind of where parking seemed legit. This is just following the existing curb that's there, I believe, and sidewalk.
We're talking like a 5% or less?
85,000, is what it would add for the additional paving.
85 more?
And it's a $3.8 million project, so it's not much.
Do we have enough change built into that for the variable to address it, or?
I think definitely because we could use the 1% stormwater.
If need be.
But
we might have to budget an additional 85 if it doesn't come out of the existing
No, we-
allocated.
we will budget,
Okay.
and maybe we won't need it, but we will budget for it. This up here is all pretty much, so up here on Hagen, we didn't bring it back in, we did it the way they have it drawn, so Hagen will get narrower up there. But there's not a lot of parking on Hagen up there. I had them include, Second Street technically isn't part of the stormwater project.
That's the one that goes up to the high school though?
Yeah,
Okay.
but I included that and had sidewalk added that would tie in all the sidewalk that exists. 'Cause there is existing sidewalk here, I think. Let me turn that off. Pretty sure there is.
On
And my recollection is the sidewalk is
Yeah, so,
going to come out of stormwater dollars.
that's.
It's not part of the EDA grant.
Next subject, yeah, that's,
Okay.
The other place where the curb and stuff changed was over here on Hauser. Wait, the internet's gotta catch up. So here, they had some concerns with, because that's a historical part of town, if they would get held up by, moving the curb, 'cause it's historical, but, so here we did widen it back out, so we'd go to the yellow and maintain the width of Hauser. You can see, there's a lot of parking there that gets utilized, and to narrow that street up doesn't make a lot of sense. Basically, the curb line would stay the same as it is now, with some bump outs at the ends.
This is gonna address that melt out we got called in on earlier this year too, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Is that the one I forwarded to you?
And the other issue that I haven't really resolved yet, go up here a little bit, internet's slow. Okay, so this is by the park, and I'll turn this off for a second. We've got good curb and gutter here, we've got good sidewalk, there's nothing on this side. We'd like to get curb on that side, but the way it's drawn up, according to the adopted street section, well, it's not terrible. So on that street, we'd add a curb and half a lane of pavement to tie it in. I guess I just wanted people's opinions about, like, well, just, am I on the right track to try and keep the streets as wide as we can?
Yeah.
I've never,
I think
I've
so.
never,
Yeah.
I've never encountered the idea of narrowing a
No.
street. I've always heard, well, God, I wish they would have made Broadway wider, or
Right.
whatever.
And the only explanation is the company that did this for us is no longer in business, so.
Well, but it got approved somehow. But anyway, it's all water in the bridge. Now, going to,
It's under the bridge, I'm good.
going to the sidewalks, in the EDA grant, there was no sidewalks included. So, we didn't do, we kind of penciled in some sidewalks just so that we could know what we're looking at in terms of cost. And I wish the internet was a little faster, but I'd like to just scroll through and kind of show you what kind of connectivity we'd be looking at. Let me go up to the top here. So basically, you guys gotta catch up. We tie into the existing sidewalk here. This is up at, by the baseball field. That's baseball time.
The road to the
right
high
there.
school. Oh, I think
Yeah,
that's
no,
closer
this
to,
is
that's further
First
north.
Street.
Yeah.
So it'd be, the orange is new sidewalk, so I'll just follow it down slowly.
Mhm.
Okay.
And then on Second, we come over and tie into the existing sidewalk here that goes to the high school. And then we'd add new sidewalk that would go over and tie into the existing at, Zip Trip. Is that Zip Trip? Yeah.
Yes.
Do you have a total price for all this proposed sidewalk?
I do. So we're gonna just take a quick tour of it before we,
Show it all to you first. Gotta sell it to you.
I just want the budget.
it's coming down Hagan sidewalks,
So Hagen, First, Second, all the way down.
Hagan all the way down. And then
Kind of.
get the Fifth that ties into the existing on the north side, new on the south side. On Platte, it ties into existing on both sides, comes over, ties into existing, I'm right ahead of you guys, ties into existing. Still way ahead of you, all right?
Mm,
At Broadway, the short chunk,
So on Fifth Street, would you be extending it up to where the intersection goes to
Yeah,
the
we-
high school?
on Fifth,
Yeah,
Mhm.
On First, you mean, you
No,
mean on
that-
Fifth to the south side of the high school?
yeah, because a lot of people walk that way too, and they
we
also
we
go up to the
Can you use
base,
them now?
to the football,
Yeah, so
field.
people are constantly, okay, well, no, he's got it. So there's Napa.
yeah.
Oh, but you're not taking it all the way down.
No,
Once
no,
it's from Napa up, not,
from
Because we're
that,
not doing the roads there yet either.
yeah, we're not doing any roads down there yet,
Okay,
this is literally shady.
so it'd stop right there.
Okay.
That's where future sidewalk would tie in.
okay.
Um,
Yeah, there's just, lots of people walk that road during football games,
I just put Napa Corner.
not the same.
And once you get over
Well,
on the
parking
west
is
side,
something.
we don't have a lot of new sidewalk, we have that little chunk there.
And the price tag for this showcase is?
And we put a new sidewalk there, $334,000 for what you see in orange there. I asked them to give us a lineal foot price, so that if we wanted to try and, say what was important.
Yeah, we can,
Take out what we thought we didn't wanna use, it's $95 a lineal foot. So that'll kinda give us something if we want.
But we are, the way we pass the language for the stormwater, we are allowed to use it for sidewalks adjacent to stormwater stuff, correct?
I don't know for sure
Yeah.
about that.
I think so.
so anything
Yes,
adjacent to the
we
stormwater,
deliberately did that, yes.
Yeah.
I think so.
So that it would all be-
Lonnie said no sidewalks.
No, the EDA was no sidewalks, but the stormwater specifically said including sidewalks.
so anywhere with the new stormwater.
It includes curbs, gutters, streets, sidewalks, and stormwater to all,
Yeah, and,
wherever.
I think it'd be worth, and I'm gonna go out and kind of walk all this, look at it, but I mean,
Because it's either that or reserve tax, or,
well, that kind of, same thing, one per head,
Yeah.
we got some of that maintenance money too in the stormwater. That's kind of where the EDA's sitting right now. We're kind of, working our way through some of these. It sounds like if I tell them we wanna go ahead with bump out kind of deal and keep the streets as wide as we want, is that,
Yeah.
that smart?
Are we still
So we don't have to-
looking at this year, or do we know that answer yet?
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're striving for.
So,
We're not driving the bus completely on this.
The goal, by the way, is to only disrupt Red Lodge once, so if they come in and say, we're gonna start it in August, and then we'll pick it up in
Yeah.
February, we're gonna say, we'll see you next year.
Yeah.
so, you know I have to ask this, right? Because we want to bump outs on Broadway, like,
Well, this,
why couldn't we do this on Broadway as well?
Well, we don't, Broadway's not our road.
No, I know, but in our city plan, we had talked about,
'Cause I think
our downtown
also,
master plan of
Well, I thought it
having
was,
bump outs.
DOT's the one that,
And MDOT is the one who says no.
yeah.
Well, they
But
did
this
say
could
no.
also give us a chance to prove it, too.
Yeah.
That's
you
what I
know,
was
and
thinking.
I think too.
They didn't say no, it was first it was Jim Bushnell that said no, because he didn't want to plow around them. And so we've never, I mean, because it was in our downtown master plan.
I feel like this is a good precursor to see if it works.
And these are a little bit different, I think, in that,
And not as raised.
Mhm.
yeah, well, I think, they're, and maybe you can do it the same way. It might be a great model, like you're saying, hey, this works, we proved
Yeah.
it.
Mhm.
But, you know, like the bump outs that he had drawn for the TA plan, those were almost 90 degree. And I
They
can
were
see
a
where,
lot bigger.
I can see
Yeah,
where,
well, the point of them is
where-
to get people standing on the bump out,
and
so
these
they're
are gonna
out
be
farther,
more-
so they don't.
I know this is a lane change, but are we still scheduled to get some painted bump outs this year?
I think we can do it.
I'm sorry, Rod, go
I
ahead.
don't know if you remember, before they came in and redid
Probably.
Broadway,
Mhm.
the state came in with a proposal for bump outs and
Yep, they
had
did,
this really beautiful proposal.
Yep.
And it got shouted down by the people that attended the meeting, because they wanted just to be historic and not modernized with these bump outs and trees, and so it got shouted down, and the state just washed their hands of it, and
yeah,
it's been a rough relationship ever since.
yeah. So it was the state then that had originally wanted them.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I think, and I think that maybe some of that has changed a little bit from back then, when that was done. I know there's a desire for some of that, because just for pedestrian safety, you know, it's also the look of downtown too, but it's the safety of
It'd be
people.
nice if you're walking and want to cross the street, if you walk out on that bump out, the cars see you before you're in the street.
Right, because
Yeah.
there's
And
a car.
that was all addressed by the state's
Yeah.
presentation,
Mhm.
and they kinda got their hands slapped, and they just rolled up their plans and walked out, and
Okay,
that
yep,
was
your
that. So their
problem.
plans are out there somewhere, but
Oh, yeah, no, I see
the state's
that.
always 10 years ahead of a project. I think they
Yeah.
might have presented that 5 years before they were gonna do the project, for the final
Mhm.
funding of that. And
When did they do what they've done? When did they last work on?
You mean of those brick?
Yeah.
I'll tell you, Ed was the mayor, because I remember,
It was after 2007, 8.
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
it's been a
so
while.
so it was before the water main.
It was all at the same time.
Mhm.
Oh, that was 2012, they did the water
Yeah,
main.
yeah, they dug it all up, and, yeah, it was a nightmare downtown for.
But they had a
Two-
whole
it was-
plan to revitalize the downtown, and it got shouted down by the people that were attending the meetings at that time. I thought it was a bad idea to not do it,
Yeah,
but I was in the minority, so.
Hmm.
okay, well, this is, I mean, I have no problem
I mean, I
with these
think-
bump outs, I think it's great, it's a
You
great
know, the only
solution,
thing we
and-
didn't do, and I'm kind of reconsidering, is we left Hagan kind of narrow. And it wouldn't, I kind of feel like maybe that is one too that might benefit from being a little wider, because when you turn that off,
Which, yeah.
I
We
mean.
look at how narrow it is in the
you-
summer and how narrow it would be in the winter.
That's what I
You lose a
was-
lot of street with those curves on those red lines.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, once winter rolls in.
I think you should do it wherever you need to do it, to keep the street as wide as possible.
Mhm.
Definitely, I just,
All right.
And so I'll
Hagan
comment
and
that our
Platt.
streets are too wide, I'll take those calls.
Man,
Hey,
I was mainly just looking for a blessing, and I think I got it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
Absolutely.
Hagan and Platt
Keep them
are,
as wide as you can.
are two of our most traveled streets
Um,
in Red Lodge.
But
Yeah,
the
it's
stop
alternative
signs
route.
might change, you know?
I think,
Well, hopefully we'll-
so that's it on streets, parks, I think, but nothing's really changed since the last one. We do have a meeting on 31st to kind of go over some of the preliminary concept drawings and ideas for Pride Park. It's at 9 AM at Pride Park.
Graffiti included?
Yeah, what was that?
What was that?
Did you see that picture? The
Oh,
graffiti?
Yeah, I kinda like it.
Like a butterfly.
Was that you?
I thought they did a good job. Could have been a
They
lot
did.
worse.
It could have been
It was
much,
a good job.
It wasn't
I don't know that-
failure or anything
I don't know
like
that
that,
flashes
so.
really appreciate their buildings being painted, but.
I noticed that.
I didn't
today.
see
I don't
that.
know when it went up.
I don't even know when it,
Over,
What
does it
over the
say?
weekend is the citizen reports.
Pool, we're slowly getting rolling. If you know anybody that might want to be a lifeguard, tell them to apply, because
We've been-
we do not have enough lifeguards at the
Do
moment.
do we have postings in the paper yet, do you know?
I'm not sure about that.
Let's make sure, find out what options work.
I know we
Well, it
posted
could've been
on
worse.
Facebook and at school.
Right?
And I think Lonnie may have said that was one that
So
didn't
they asked
yield
for
any
permission
results,
to
but.
build
No, I'm
School?
sure they didn't.
No, the paper or school?
Is it still there?
No, the paper.
Yeah.
So the comment is we are accepting applications.
Oh,
Get it out
I
there.
see.
So where do they go to get that? Do we have it on our website, do you know?
I think so. I'm not sure. Danae kinda handles all that, and I don't, I stay out of it. She
Okay.
does a good job.
need lifeguards, pass the word.
And I think,
Get out there.
Especially if you're a school person.
Have you seen my kids swim?
He doesn't have to be able to, he just has to be able to save people. And look at this.
One of them is much better than the other.
I'm hoping that next time we meet, I'm gonna have, I'm gonna sit down with Dennison between now and then, and figure out the exact nature of the hoops we have to jump in to get rid of the meters for lawns. What we've discussed, I think
Yes.
we're on the same page with, but I think we need to get that process moving, 'cause I'd like to have it in place in a few months.
It is currently on the website. If somebody goes and does lifeguards, you have to look a little bit to, it's
Yeah.
full-time, that's got the 2025 date on it.
Okay.
So,
Lawn meters.
I think that's all I got. I'll shut up.
Okay, so, on the meters for the lawn, do we have to pass anything for
Yes.
that? I guess that would be like a
That's-
resolution.
That's the next.
I've heard two different opinions on it. It sounds like technically we don't have to do an ordinance, but I think, and that's why I'm gonna sit down with Dennison, but I think he would like to do an
This
ordinance.
is on the which, I'm sorry?
I'm trying to, we worked up a system where we are gonna take, like, your water bill and average it.
Oh,
And then,
okay.
and then use that as your, in regards to your sewer, that will be your water usage for, and we gotta set the days, but it'll be like June, July, August, or something to that effect. So
Yeah, I
that
haven't
when
heard
you're,
anything about that lately,
so when
so-
you're irrigating your yard, you're not paying sewer. You're just paying for the water. Because right now, the way we manage it is, we put in a separate meter, and it's a nightmare,
Right,
and,
and they have to pay for it to get it.
and then people want meters, we can't get them
We
meters,
don't have
blah,
enough
blah,
meters.
blah.
So where is this right now? Is this with Danae? Is it with Dennison? Is it with standing
We brought
committee?
it here, we discussed it, Janae and Monica came in and explained it, and they have their heads wrapped around it very well,
Mhm.
and how it would work, how it would be implemented. I think the next step is to kind of flesh that out and sit down with Dennison and figure out how we do it.
So I think it's back on standing committee's plate then.
Yeah, and so I'm gonna hopefully have a map of what we gotta do next time I come up here, like, we're gonna need to do, we gotta talk about this at council and then vote on this and blah, blah, blah. And I'm
And so
waiting
would
on-
we just ask Dennison to give us a sample
Yeah,
ordinance? or what?
he's gonna be the driving force
Okay.
behind this, 'cause I surely don't know.
I know, I'm like,
And that's all I got.
So he'll provide a resolution or an
Yeah.
ordinance, and then we'll bring it, and then we'll discuss it and bring it to council.
Ordinance/res.
Do you wanna direct him?
I will, but you guys feel free to reach out to him as well, Jody, and I will, I know how that buffer works, so.
Okay.
So all we're doing then, we're gonna be changing the billing, correct?
Yeah, taking an average.
Billing
Basically,
for the water and
Average
sewer.
water of the winter months and
it's gonna
bill
be
your sewer
your,
accordingly.
and that's, so like, if you average 3,000 gallons a month all winter long, and you pay $3,000 for water and $3,000 for sewer,
Yeah,
in June, July, and August, if you use 10,000 gallons, you're gonna pay for 10,000 gallons of water, but you're only gonna pay for 3,000 gallons of sewer, because we're assuming it's not
That
going
doesn't
down.
And I'm sure
But-
the reason that it's an ordinance, because if you change utilities, it requires 2 public hearings and ordinances. So
Okay.
even if you're lowering it,
Mhm.
it's still a change to utilities.
so my
that's what's
only
in the
question
ordinance.
is, the only negative I see in this is that our,
We'll collect a little
snowbirds,
bit
the
less.
people who leave, are gonna have, they're gonna have really
No,
low
there's a
average.
minimum, we're gonna
Okay.
have a minimum on it, and the minimum is, it's already determined, it's, Danae's or Bond.
Okay, yeah, I just,
And I think
People who
we
aren't
figured
using
out
it.
what the potential cap would be on how much less we would take in on sewer,
Mhm.
but it was also stuff we're not really treating anyway, so we are not
No,
be charging, and it was not, it was like single digits.
Yeah, it
was like
wasn't a
1
lot.
comma.
I remember, they have it
Okay.
down surprisingly.
just thinking of other questions
Yeah,
the
I mean,
council will have, so.
we're billing for a service we're not providing.
Right, exactly, yeah, because it's
So,
just going into the ground and we're not
this is
treating it, so,
Mhm.
okay. Perfect. Right, anything else?
Nope.
Okay.
That's it.
Sure.
So, next we have the resolution 3686, declaration of surplus property. That's an action item tonight.
Oh, I think we're just getting rid of a pothole patching machine that is a pain in the butt, doesn't do a very good job, and we can do a better job just by using asphalt, faster, better, so.
You mean asphalt by hand? I mean hand fill?
And then we bring our, last year we
So we
bought a
just-
roller, and we
Roller.
compact it, way faster and holds up better. We call the same thing in Choto, we had one of those things that we'd go out and spend 20 minutes to fill one pothole, and then over the
Faster,
course of the
better,
winter,
doing
would
it
gone,
manually.
and we
Yeah.
come back next year.
So CIP is online, when are we gonna look
Oh.
at having our public hearing on that, so I can get that information out?
I got all that back to Kitty this week, she's pretty fast, I expect she'll have another draft for me probably this week, I think we're pretty close to, without talking to her, I don't wanna say, but I would think that in 2 weeks we'll have something that we can really start looking at in terms of, you know, approving it.
Okay.
Okay.
And then, you know, the next step in the process is as soon as that's done, and we're gonna jump on, the impact fee study,
Okay,
because we really need to get that done.
okay,
It's beyond overdue.
okay. Yeah, I know you guys worked on that a little bit last year, didn't you?
The impact fee study?
Didn't you?
No,
I
so
just- I
it's
I
actually
dug
another
into it a
company.
little bit, but,
Okay.
it's,
Was that planning, I did some planning that took on the impact fee?
So I think it's been identified as something that needs to
Okay.
be done, because it has to be done every 5 years.
Okay.
But you also generally, the recommendation is you do it after you have a completed CIP.
Okay,
basically the firm that does impact fee studies is kind of a specialized firm, that's all they really do. And they will take our water PER, waste, all of our PERs, our CIP, and kind of take all that to justify what we're gonna spend these impact fee money on. And, it's important because if it's not identified in the impact fee study, we can't spend the money on that.
Right.
So like, right now, we have impact fee money in sewer, and it's not identified to spend on relining old mains, which is what we're doing.
Mhm.
We can't use that one. And it's supposed to be updated every 5 years, and
Mhm.
we established ours in 2007, and haven't touched
Okay.
it.
Oh,
A while ago. So when would you like us to start adding these onto this agenda? And then, I mean, what kind of
I
timeline are we
think-
looking at?
I think for next Public Works Committee meeting, we should have something on there for the water meters and something on there for the CIP. I'd say CIP should just be on there
Okay,
until we get it done.
CIP
Okay.
and
Same with the water meters,
water meter.
or whatever you call it.
the resolution or the.
Water
The
meter.
And I could pull,
water sewer billing resolution
I-
ordinance or.
Water meter res.
I don't know, I added what we discussed into the CIP before I sent it back to Kitty. We could run through that if you want to, I don't know if there's, let's see, 320. Let me figure out how do I do the,
You want to share your screen?
I gotta figure out where's the share button again, share screen.
One of them is your whole screen, and that way whatever's up on your screen will be what shares.
That one?
Yeah.
Yep.
So share.
Yeah,
Yep.
if you do that one, then we just your whole.
There you go.
So, okay, so we go here.
Mhm.
What's this?
There it is.
I've got it, go away, little widget. Blah, 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 it's a lot of blah, blah, blah on here.
A lot of tables.
I didn't put these
Lots of
in a
pictures.
particular order, and I didn't have the cost in there, but I had for our highest priorities for the city, the EDA street project, stream bank project, the bypass project, phase one of the wastewater, the next water project, 2 and 3 of wastewater, Rocky Fork demo, bank stabilization and park, City Hall renovations, Brewery Hill Trail were kind of the high ones. And then it goes into bunch of junk,
Oh, completed project?
All the other ones.
more junk. This is the water part, I just have those same projects in there, except for I added, we're redoing the preliminary engineering report, and then a carryover from the last CIP is the Kainu Avenue Water Project, which would tie in Park to, Kainu, which would then tie into Ninth and Cooper, which would be a great thing. I added in there putting a building over the PRV on White, just because that would be a good thing. We are budgeted to upgrade our SCADA system, so I included that in there. And I believe we're budgeted to run power cellular to our tanks for communication purposes, and I added that in there. And wastewater is pretty straightforward. In 26, we're gonna update the engineering report. We're doing phase one this year. I guess I should have that in there maybe. Phase 2 and 3 to follow. Phase 4, I added, and then upgrades to SCADA. Streets, phase 1 of street improvements, which is going on now, or we're trying to get going on. And that $100,000 for paver, I think, is way off. But paver is a system that incorporates GIS, and it basically inventories all your streets, and then you can actually, it's got a lot of neat features. You can go in there and it'll tell you what your worst streets are. It'll tell you what your best streets are. You can even put in there a budget like you know, if we have $100,000 from the 1% from storm to put in the streets, we got $100,000, you can plug that in, and then it'll throw projects out to you to maximize how much you get out of it. Gonna try and get that paper thing going.
Mike, I know I'm out of cycle, but I'm old and I forget things. In here, do we have a machine for maintaining the trail at Brewery Hill included in the CIP?
No, but
Should we do that, just even though
Um,
it's not known yet?
I think, well, we kinda have a machine for doing that, the same one we use on the rest of that trail that skids here with blower.
Okay,
Mhm.
So, I'm gonna include some things, I'm working on my budget right now too, and I've include what I call wish list, and my wish list items will get added to this too.
Okay.
Storm, they have, upgrade PR, tie in the storm drains on Broadway, phase 4 and phase 5 of stormwater, those are kinda out in the future. And I added, we have a stormwater line that stops, halfway between Grant and Adams. Yeah, Grant and Adams on, 14th, and ending that up, I added that in there. Parks, I think we have a bunch. We have the trail on Brewery Hill, Rocky Fork Pathway Trail, I think that has something to do with, I'm not sure where that one came from, but Rocky Fork Park, I can make it bigger here, I think. How do we do that?
Right there. Nope.
Hey, it's not really getting bigger, is it?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
The pump track that they wanna put in up at, Homelanders Park, Rotary Park restrooms were in the last CIP, I kinda left them there. I don't know what Greenscape Nursery is or where it came from. That was one that Kitty had put in, maybe it came from the old CIP,
let's understand it if it's on there.
what's that?
So let's understand it if it's on there.
Yeah, I'll figure that out.
Nursery.
One thing I did, I guess going back on, now I'm remembering things on parks, I did meet with the parks guys and we looked at that site up there for a tennis court,
Okay,
and,
I saw your drawings on that.
oh, he did?
Yeah. That we had the gal from the, just by way of information, we had a gal from the National Tennis Association that puts on the New York, what is their Open Cup. It says it's the largest sporting event in the United States, so, because it goes on several weeks, it beats the Super Bowl by quite a bit as far as live attendance goes anyway. But the short version is they're giving away $200,000 for, toward tennis stuff,
Huh.
so.
How did she happen upon
That group
his?
is working with
Yeah.
them. Pardon?
How did she find,
We're creative.
okay.
her
There-
parents are here.
No,
Friends of friends.
it was a reach out. There are several spots in Montana they're working with, so they're working with Hardin right now, Miles City even, so, you know.
Oh,
if
great.
They're in Miles City.
See now?
I
I
like
played on
knowing
those tennis courts in
I
Miles
like
City. I played on
knowing where the
tennis
soft
team in
spots
Miles
are.
City.
We got,
I just go back to the tennis courts, but, I was sort of thrown by this gal from New York City. So where did you
What, yeah.
look at,
we looked, let's see if I
The
still.
20,000 that you have there.
Oh, the 20,000 was just to kind of touch up
And
the old
then you were
park.
talking about your graph that you have.
Yeah, let's go, stay on track.
I can share it to you.
What was your question on the tennis courts?
you looked at some sites, a
Oh,
site?
there was some interest in, or there is interest in the area off of Second Avenue, right where you get up by school and you turn to go on Chambers to the
Right.
zoo, where
Mhm.
we planted trees last year.
Mm-hmm,
Making tennis courts there,
okay,
4 of them.
okay. Have you looked anywhere else, or is that the only place you've looked?
We looked at that, I think that's it.
We looked at 10 or 15 places first. this was the one that was left over.
Yeah, that's the only place I was asked to kind
To
of
check.
dig into it.
I just wondered if the Lutheran Church had gained any curiosity, to it.
That was part of the conversation
Okay.
that they looked at, so, I think there was acquisition versus this is land the city already has.
Absolutely.
And the high school has
And,
tennis as a sport.
yeah, and there was, one of the things that they confirmed for us today is, one of the reasons we picked this is we thought that we had better, well, two things. We might have better access to funding. Today, she said it's just as available to the cities as it is to the school. But the second part is, if we put that up there, if we ultimately put it in, lease the land to them, and the high school puts it in, then it's their job to maintain it, not ours.
Which is why they're.
And the gal from US Open looked at that spot?
She did, and then she wasn't sure she was in the right spot, so somebody was going with her after that meeting. That was today at 3, so they were going up to revisit it.
Curious what she thought of it.
Yeah.
Takes a lot of fill.
Yeah, and that's what this basically says, how much dirt you had to haul in to do it.
But, I mean, we generate massive amounts of fill on these water and sewer and
Mhm.
storm projects that we haul down and put it at the lagoon, could put it there. So anyway, it's not the end of the world.
Big grant available.
So there was some money in there to touch up the field school tennis courts. I just threw in, I guess I got these backwards. This would be, tennis courts at the school.
Oh, not pickleball courts, okay.
Mhm.
And the field school is a tennis court / pickleball courts.
Right.
Mhm.
And apparently something called Padel that is now the new, it originates from Mexico, but that was something she came up as.
Not the hacky sack style?
Pardon?
Is that like the
No,
foot?
it's another, it's the big up and coming that they're pushing.
And I put in Pride Park
That one looks like at
improvements
home.
and permanent hockey facility, pool miners improvements that we've been working on. Building stuff, the restoration upstairs, new law enforcement center, I don't know anything about that. That came through the police department, I think, same with pavement firing range, and this is the project we put in for a grant last year, for the charging station. And I don't know what or New City Hall fees. That was somebody else added that one.
What is it?
Or New City Hall.
Oh,
Or New City Hall.
so scroll back just a minute. New City Hall, $3 million, new law enforcement office, $5 million.
I don't know. I don't know where either one of those came from, because Kitty works with
I think that was probably from Ryan.
other department heads.
Throwing some out there.
Yeah, total wish list.
See what we can
Well,
put on
and
there.
in fairness, CIP is one place where you're allowed to use that
Right,
language.
Right.
because you never know, there could be a grant out
Yeah,
there.
you have to be aware of it to put it out there.
Right.
Police stuff, again, I didn't work on that. I'm assuming Schrock and Kitty worked together to get that.
Mhm.
And that, it seems to me like that maybe ought to be where that law enforcement center is in police, but.
This is stuff I'm guessing that Jody worked with her on, repair facade,
Library, yeah.
blah, 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 blah.
Mhm. Blah,
And,
blah, 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 blah.
these are just a few things I threw in here for Public Works,
Is that the dump truck you want for snow at the top?
what's that?
Is that the dump truck you want at the top for snow
Yeah,
removal?
it would be for water, sewer, storm, and snow.
Okay.
Is that just one?
That's just one.
How, you said you wanted more than one, why don't we up that?
Okay.
Okay.
Three.
Yeah. Just give one to everybody.
You get one. And you
You
get
get
a
a
dump truck.
dump truck.
Oprah.
I know, yep.
Not much there. I'm taking that section out, 'cause I was told we don't have anything to do with the
Cemetery?
cemetery anymore, except for we're the cashier for selling lots. Fire department, they have their own,
Mhm.
and Tom was gonna write me something for this, and I
Mhm.
reminded him, and I still haven't got it. When I get it, I'll get it in there. I think there's one other table down here that is pretty loose, yeah, it's this one. And I think this is part of what they do, is they'll go through and rank all this stuff
Mhm.
and come up with,
Criteria.
they'll do a priority matrix and come up with this, or what our priorities are. And when, that's basically what, when they develop that, we'll go over that.
Can I ask a dumb question?
Mm-hmm.
What's our, I guess, it's mostly just, I will wanna look at it, I wanna make sure that, given that a lot of these projects, I wanna make sure that the projects that involve an outside engineering firm don't somehow end up on the top of this list by
Sure.
virtue of that. I mean, it's fair that a lot of those projects will, but,
Mhm.
Yeah, I
but we
mean,
just have to recognize there is a self-licking ice cream cone in the equation.
yeah. Well, if that's occurring, I'm sure it'll be pretty obvious, so. Plus, they have to, just like the Brewery Hill deal, they have to show us in their matrix how they come up with this. Can't be, because GWE gets money. So, I feel like that's a good place for Kitty to take it and smooth it out and get it back to us, and I think that's what's happening.
Okay, are the tennis courts in whose hands are the tennis courts now?
It's,
Parks
it's,
Board
still in Parks-
subcommittee, it's Parks for
Parks
the
Board,
subcommittee
okay.
that's actually chasing
Let
it
me
down.
make sure that I know where I am with that.
Roger Mullendorf and Rod Fordall, could both places. There's another gal, I can't tell you the name
No,
of her.
we're meeting next week, next Wednesday.
That'll definitely be part of their
Yeah,
conversation.
okay, good, all right.
Okay, are we done with the CIP?
yeah, I think
Okay. Okay, so,
We're at
Parks
time
and Sustainability Board update, anything from you?
We've had a meeting like this since Parks,
Mhm.
Okay.
right? So I think we discussed what was, and they're, they're very busy.
Okay.
And then sustainability, now that the winter's over, I'm gonna start traveling and go look at things in Billings and in Victor, Idaho. And just
Look up Rod.
And, but, I like to go through the park when I go see them, and I don't wanna go to the park right now, so I can't remember.
It's a long walk.
So I did have a couple of, public comments for Public Works,
Oh.
just from the last
Okay.
deal, and I think you've probably
I
heard
saw that
some.
email from the gal on Adams.
Yeah, and I didn't know
And
that,
I've been dealing with her,
Okay.
she called me in the middle of winter and wanted to grade the alley, and I said that we will in the spring. But
Okay.
it's froze now, and now it's a muddy mess, we're not gonna grade it. But,
okay.
Which one's?
Well, it's, she has a lot of runoff. Apparently they built a big structure next to her lot, and it diverted, instead of running off through that lot and then to her house,
well,
going
it's
right,
kinda like, I think both those A-frames
yeah, or,
had negative drainage from the day they were built.
right, so
Their
she's
neighbor
getting,
fixed theirs.
yeah, so she
and
said
so now
she's getting
getting
it, she's getting it all, so, and she says it has a lot to do with the street, like you say, I think she's down from the street and it's all,
Yeah, they're in a hole.
they're in a hole.
Is this the Adams A-frames?
All right, so those A-frames,
No, this is on 14,
Oh,
North Adams.
oh, so these are the
Up
up.
where the water feature was.
Mm-hmm,
So-
no, this is,
Oh, this is, maybe I'm thinking of a different one. What's the other?
yeah, 14 North Adams.
How's the other direction?
Yeah, it's
Oh.
up there.
No,
It's-
Oh, I did
It's-
talk to her.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, again, yeah, that one.
I don't know if
that-
she has
that's
an
a bad
alley.
one. And I have, and I told her, I'm willing to try something there. I don't know if it'll work. We're gonna try it on the west. This is where the Adams split.
right, yeah.
And so on the east part of Adams, on the west side of the road, we're gonna try and cut a ditch over there to catch some of that.
Okay,
It's not gonna be much, and try and get
We're
it,
getting sued.
What's that?
How do we keep from somebody stepping in that and suing us?
I think we can do it. I think we can taper it off there. It won't take a whole lot. I looked at it last year, I think in the fall. But again, it's something, we will get to it, but it's not, it's got, conditions have to improve.
Okay,
We got that little grader. I think when I talked to her, we hadn't purchased the grader yet. I was trying to.
okay.
No, I got mixed up on my Adamses.
Okay, yeah, so I guess, just, I think she had sent you a copy of that letter too, and I forwarded it to the mayor too, so.
Yeah, no.
Mayor, if you guys could just reach back out to her and let her know what
We
she
can go there
can
and
plan.
try something, no
Yeah.
promises, but it's
I think
definitely
her
a tough
basement has been
situation.
filling up with water
Did
every year,
did
so.
we get anything more for Kenzie?
Yeah, that was the other one, did you,
And I
Okay,
have
on that.
touched base with Mackenzie a couple of times.
okay,
I
There's also
think
a-
she understands that she has a workaround in place right now and that there really isn't anything practically that can be done until after spring gets here. I stepped on a little bit of a nerve because one of the things she kept saying is this act of God. And I says, well, now we have to wait until it warms up. And, well, you said it's an act of, well, I'm saying we can't do anything until that happens. But they came back and some of the information that they are relaying on is different than what we understand from our conversations with the plumber.
Mhm.
They came back and said they measured with the tape on top, and so they are sure that they are running a snake all the way up in past the stormwater into the water main, which doesn't make sense because there are other people on the block getting it, so.
So when they froze up, the main had water in it, 'cause we could turn on that hydrant, and we had water, and
Right.
we did that repeatedly. But then recently,
The hydrant cut.
the construction guy
Yeah,
across
that's
the
what-
street tore the hydrant off, and we gotta wait for a little bit and go out there and fix it, 'cause it's all full of mud and snow, and it's a mess.
Okay.
Mike,
But-
I'm neighbors with this gal, we're talking about. Where exactly are you gonna, dig that little ditch, just so I can tell her? On the side of
Let
the
me pull it up.
median or on,
Yeah, in the middle of the street on the
on the west side or the east side of the median?
east side.
Okay, up by her house, on the side of her house, okay.
Mhm.
I run into her, I'll go talk to her.
Yeah, 'cause she said she'd emailed you
One
too, and
one thing,
Oh, I
going
didn't
back
get it.
to the frozen water line,
Chrissy.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, I got here in February last year, so it was kinda a little bit of a winter. This is my first real winter. I think in the fall, Public Works is gonna craft a message about welcome to winter.
Uh-huh.
And it's gonna include things like, when it gets cold out, run your water, 'cause
Yeah.
you're responsible
Mhm.
for maintaining your service.
Yeah.
And it's gonna address some snow issues too, some snow policy things, you know, like,
That was the
You
other
know,
thing on my list, was,
don't pile it up on the corners, and,
Right.
and don't, and I'm gonna put a diagram in there. This is theoretically what we wanna see in Red Lodge, is the snow from center line
Yeah.
road goes perpendicular to the road. It doesn't move from one neighbor to another. And if you take snow from your driveway and throw it in the road, it's probably just gonna come back, given the nature of a snowplow. And just some basic common sense, little, welcome to winter reminders.
what I was wondering, and 'cause Chelsea and I talked about this, do we actually need to address some of those through an ordinance?
With,
The
with
snow
the-
removal for because we have a lot of plow guys out there now that are
Nice.
removing snow.
It's the
Well,
one
and they're
that-
not
And,
very.
and they're, I mean, and there's private people too, like you just go out, and like, yeah, we do it at my yard, but we
But
try to put
basically,
it on a
snow
prop.
removal ends up on your own property.
I try to, yeah, but it's still in the city right away,
Mhm.
but it's on my property line, we try not to put it
Front
over.
your house,
Yeah.
front your property.
Right, it's still in front of my house, but it is in the public
You
right
know,
away, so.
I think that, but, yeah, I think we need to review what's there, and then if something, if it's lacking, then probably get
Yeah,
something
I mean,
going,
and it
because
includes not
it's kind of out
plowing
of control
over-
right now.
sidewalks,
And
I
I
know
think-
on 19th Street, they made a big berm, big pile on 19th and Broadway, and they kept covering up the sidewalk that people use to walk up. And then they have to walk out into the street, you know, people who actually use that. And then you can't see around it, right
And then
there.
the people who do, yeah.
And not
So,
walking.
yeah, we're gonna try and get out in front of it, and I think it'll be something that gets mailed out to everybody. It'll
Okay.
be on the Facebook page, and it might be, in the newspaper.
Okay.
I want everybody.
Front page?
Well, and that's, yeah.
Front page
because, I
Here's
mean,
a welcome to winter, here's a reminder.
right. Well,
Please
and then like
follow.
Chelsea's talked to her plow guy, she's like, don't plow the snow like that, you know, you can't do that. And he's like, yeah, we can, there's nothing that says we can't. And she's like, I'm on city council, don't plow that way. And she's like fighting with her plow guy.
No,
I'm like,
and the,
Do it my
you know,
husband every day, don't worry about it.
It's a lot of money that's at stake for those guys, 'cause they're out there running hard, making money.
Mhm.
Yep.
But it's, you know, and it's a mess, and everybody lies. Well, I didn't do that, I didn't do that.
Pass them the-
Yeah.
I have you on my Ring
But just in
camera.
front of my house, we did it, so you know. That would be my brother.
So I have requested,
Oh.
I CC'd you on it, I
Okay.
reached out to Sandy to get you her snow ordinance that's coming to council
No,
And-
next meeting, but that way you can get input before.
And the
meeting.
other thing, with that, can you give people, the plow route?
Yeah,
That would be great, because I got a lot of feedback from people up at the Spires, like, why are we always
Right.
last on the list? And I tried to say, well, they,
furthest away.
I know.
It takes the longest to get to you.
I did say, I think what I told her was is that you do school routes first, you know, basically. you
Yeah,
know,
and that
but
Is this the same individual that I talked to, I'm sure?
I don't know, can you?
I forwarded it on to you, Lisa, so.
Okay, yeah. So, I mean, yeah, just so people know, I'm like, well, she's like, well, why weren't they out earlier? I'm like, well, they plowed me in at 7 a.m., so I'm pretty sure they were out plenty early. I'm like.
Well, and she made several assertions that were just not
I know,
accurate.
yeah, exactly.
Oh, it's fun
I goofed and tried to explain some of that when I should have just said, let's stay together and chat, and then when I did, the response was, no, thanks, I'm good.
though.
So, anyway, so that, I think that would be great, just a kind of more information type thing on how you're doing it. And
Sweet. Yeah, agreed.
we've got a lot of snow between January and March,
Well,
So-
it's still,
Yeah.
we still have April to go through.
Still
we
gonna
got
have
most of our snow. It did not spread itself out between September and March. So,
I've stored a lot of snow on our parking lot.
Yeah.
Next to, across from Ace,
Yeah.
Mhm.
because I plow that and then push where all the county employees park, I
Yeah.
push all that.
Is that your parking lot now? Did you, the whole thing?
It has been since the eighties.
Mhm.
Oh, not there. I was thinking about, the one that Kibler and Kirch owns, that part.
No,
Mm-mm.
no, I don't know
Okay,
who does such a wonderful job of covering the sidewalk over there, but
yeah.
That's Elkin Pine, that's the one behind yours, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think
Okay, are we good, guys?
Yep, we're
Are there any
good.
other comments, public comments? I tried to pass on everybody's